Hey everybody, it's Chris. So this is the first video in a series of videos that I'm putting out on the WRC's online channels on thinking about making change. This is a point in time where we're all going through a lot of change, and there may be some changes you're already thinking about in regards to improving your well-being, and I want to help give a little bit of motivation and direction for you to go through with whatever changes that you might be thinking about. So, one of the most important things in making change and sticking to it is having a good reason. And you might be thinking, duh, that's pretty self explanatory, but I'm going to give you three things to think about in regards to really intentionally thinking about the purpose for making your change. So, one, you want a really well thought out and well articulated reason, something that's specific and clear. Number two, you want to keep that reason in mind throughout the change process. And number three, you want to reevaluate the meaningfulness of the reason regularly. So it's common for people to go forth with a change and then at some point kind of lose touch with why they started with that change in the first place. Maybe it's no longer meaningful to them. Maybe they never really had a good thought out reason for changing in the first place. And then because of that, they might start to experience some setbacks because it can turn into, what's even the point. So the point of this video today is to help you think intentionally about purpose in order to prevent those types of setbacks. So I'll go over those 3 points again with a simple example of change. So let's say I want to start waking up an hour earlier every day. And if you ask me why, I might say my reason is because I feel better when I wake up early and start the day. And that sounds like a reason, and that might be a great initial motivator. But what happens when I wake up early 3 days in a row and I don't feel great? I might start to think, why am I doing this again? So, number one, having a well thought out and well articulated reason can really help you better connect with the point of why you're doing something in the first place. So, when I wake up early, what are the benefits to me? And this is a question you should brainstorm yourself in regards to making a change. What are the benefits to me? So, I have time to make a better breakfast, might give me more energy. By the time I get to work or school, I'm more awake, more alert, more able to engage readily with my work. And waking up early gives me more time to relax before I start the day, which usually puts me in a better mood. So when I'm thinking about articulating this reason for change, it's that I want to start waking up an hour earlier every day because it gives me time to make a better breakfast. I'm better able to engage as soon as I get to work, and it gives me more time to relax, which usually puts me in a better mood. And I want to include all of those things in my articulated purpose. So I've thought of a couple different reasons, and some of those reasons, might even resonate with me better one day versus another day, and it helps me focus on a range of positive benefits of moving forward with that change. So moving on to number two, keeping that reason in the back of your mind throughout the change process. You don't want to lose sight of why you're engaging in this change. So what might be helpful for some people is to write down that articulated reason and put that somewhere where you're going to see it often. You could do some reflective exercises, write about how the change is going in relation to the range of positive benefits that you might have identified as being part of that reason. And in my opinion, you almost want to make engaging with reason for the change as important as engaging in the action of the change. Okay, and number three, reevaluate the meaningfulness of those reasons regularly. Are these benefits that I identified as part of the reason for change, are they still relevant to me? Do they still matter to me? Are they still important? And change is a process. So some of those initial benefits you identified after a while might not be relevant to you at all anymore. So it's important to check in with yourself regularly, take some time to think about, okay, through this experience of change, are there other benefits that I've discovered? And would it make sense to reorient my articulated reason to include some of those newly discovered benefits and maybe get rid of some things that don't really serve me anymore in order to keep the change relevant and reason meaningful. And this is another place where reflective exercises are certainly helpful when we're thinking about change, writing, journaling, meditating, whatever works for you. And of course, once engaging in the change starts to take away from your well-being, you might not want to just think about reorienting the purpose and meaning, but thinking about different kinds of changes. And we'll talk a little bit about that in future videos. But again, you want reflecting on and engaging with the reason to almost be as much of a priority as engaging in the action. And those three things that I mentioned will provide clarity around your purpose in a way that hopefully helps you avoid the kind of setbacks where you think at some point, why am I even doing this? What's the point? So again, you want a well thought out, well articulated reason, to keep that reason in mind often, and to reevaluate the meaningfulness of the reason often. And one last thing, sometimes you might not even have a particular reason for changing, and that's perfectly okay. If you want to jump in and try something new that you think might help improve your well-being, I would say go for it. You can think about how it's meaningful to you, the reason why it's impacting you positively while, you're in the middle of it, and kind of discover in that way a reason for sticking with it. So look out for some other videos that I'll be posting soon on the topic of change, and thanks for taking the time.